grass is green.
I checked my character stats. I have a
Start with your comeback today.
experience, and due to all the time I've put in, I'd say I've got it. Instead of any of my mates. Now, I don't play Crom, and I low-key forgot he was even a character, but that'll only make it even better if I somehow prevail. In my mind, expected success is unsurprising, but unexpected success is unforgettable. So, after defeating security with the smartest and most successful method I knew how, I decided that for this last fight, I was going to play with an unoptimal method I wasn't sure would be 100% successful, but that would only make it even better if I actually pulled through. I was going to take down the game's final boss, well known by many. Yes, the obvious choice for the job. Right, the name you all know. It starts with an S. That's me. Please welcome the final boss for this challenge, Jesus Magic Rainbow. Surprise! That doesn't even make me. I'll be honest, I got into the Scott fight, saw 21 million health, realized I had free will, and just decided to insta-kill him instead of playing the same hot dog taco hamburger game of winning blue golden sludge and rainy day for 5 hours. No. You see, the real boss I want to tackle in this challenge is Chica's Magic Rainbow, who's the final boss of this
That was that smell?
It even worked, but this only meant that the final product of my photon was absolutely perfect for me and my $8 billion. Yeah, it turns out that not only was I getting a ton of XP in difficulty 100, I was also getting unfathomably large amounts of money for my efforts. To play the rest of the years, I was missing a love and rock, and to my amusement, after spending a grand total of 1.5 million coins.
What is this thing?
I'm not above campaigning for petty bullshit in my videos, so I'm gonna use my one skin suggestion allotted to me for a refresh video and ask the devs to please let us skin for a little bit based on their appearance and 5 nights of free. If you guys are willing to create entirely new characters based on FNaF Roblox games I've never heard of, I think it's reasonable to ask that a skin be added based on the best FNaF fan game ever made. I mean, come on, these character designs look like absolute eye candy. It'd be a crime to not have these guys collaborate in some way. I mean, come on. It's gonna be a whole idea. I think I know what happens in this video now. And so, with all that unlocked, it was finally time to start grinding levels to finally take down the rainbow. which involved me spending the next 5 hours straight just defeating Growboys over and over. Once it was all said and done, my characters had gone from about level 100 to level 107, with some of them even reaching over 2,000 HP thanks to this. Something practically unreachable. And so,
how did it get burned, by the way, though?
it's finally time for me to take on Chica's magic rainbow. It's once she reaches half health, we'll swap back to E1 so Scott can fourth wall all the
So where is the
and once that's done, we can swap back to Team 2 and deal all the remaining damage necessary. Unfortunately, there's one itsy-bitsy teeny tiny little problem with this strategy, and it's that so much rainbow. You see, the only issue in this fight is that the rainbow just has so many children. These guys do 999 damage to us, which we feel is overkill thanks to our health. But once we reach his half health, he just procreates too fast for us to handle it, and we'll get swarmed by all the rainbows and die. We can deal with stuff like the boss arena's toxic air, draining our health by just out-healing it and defeating her before the 3-minute fight timer ends. But once you reach his half health, there's simply too many mini rainbows for us to deal with, and we'll consistently die. Unfortunately, this means we'll need these difficult characters solely for moving off the board when absolutely necessary. So I guess Scott can stay. Now, I still plan on dealing the final stretch of damage without his help, because I think it'd be infinitely more fun to take her down while being completely flooded with redundant children. Now, I won't overcode it. It took many attempts, but I had finally gotten into one truly special attempt going into the final stretch. Now, maybe this attempt started with me immediately misclicking the poppers on JJ. No great fleeting gameplay on my end, I guess. But JJ would soon atone for this blunder by being the savior this fight needed. You see, when any of these mini rainbows reach my party and attack, they all have a 1 in 4 chance to hit any member, alive or dead. So theoretically, just as long as one character kept getting lucky and avoided every single one, I would be able to win. And it seems like our little figurine friend JJ was doing just that. If JJ could hold on for just a bit longer, we could end this challenge for good and truly get an unforgettable, unexpected victory. This was gonna be close. JJ! JJ! Oh my god, JJ, click on him! Oh my god! And just like that, all by herself, JJ had somehow soloed the end of the Chica's Magic Rainbow fight. It may have been a stupid, unskilled plan, and there may have been nothing stopping me from just using Scott at the end or any of the Halloween characters for a guaranteed victory, but that only made this uncertain success even better. And so, after making it through the entire
it's not
game,
in here,
taking
so
on
I don't
Chica's
know
Magic
where it is.
Rainbow, the FNaF World 3 Fresh Difficulty 100 challenge was over.
It's not here in the back door.
Fantastic.
Thomas Massey voted with the radical Democrats against finishing President Trump's wall. Prisoners passing his hands. On May 19th, fired Thomas Massey when Trump endorsed Patriot Captain Ed Calright.
Mom, is it still here, or is it gone?
Is there anything in FNaF game that doesn't end with the restaurant shutting down?
And what's that smell, Mom? Is it the food?
And one of the endings of FNaF 2.
Is it just the food, Mom? Is it just the food that's making that smell?
In the endings of FNaF, for instance, the restaurant still closed because of any monetary items. Instead, there Pizza the world has ever seen. A pizzeria so bad, it made poor people have to tremble in its weird. I want to make FNaF 6 while getting every single lawsuit possible. The challenge versus the first predator is a blind lawsuit. And I'm by having a high-risk factor in your pizzeria, which you obtain by buying risky attractions alongside lockdown items. The higher your risk, the more likely you are to get hurt. There's a big problem that goes into the pizzeria that destroys your being soon, but we'll see non-placeable, it'll never have any bonus risk added to it. Only placeable items and speakers can have risk added to them from sales. Essentially, we have to get incredibly lucky with what gets marked down in the catalog. If we've already bought the item, don't have access to it yet, or it's a non-placeable attraction, we can't get the bonus risk. But okay, whatever. This is really a practice run anyways, so us getting unlucky with markdowns right now isn't the end of the world. I really just wanted to practice money-making methods. I've been playing Midnight Ogre, but I know Punch Clown is one of the best ways to get cash. I'm aware Gravity Vortex gives you the most money per play out of all the mini games, but I'll save that one for the next month. I don't have that kind of skill. So, I started my attempts at Punch Clown, and I don't think I am gonna make it in my entire life. I'm sorry to all the Astral Smith fans, but I think this game can genuinely be considered a form of torture in some countries. I know that's a wild claim to make, but just let me explain the situation I was in so it makes more sense. It's about 3 in the morning, and I'm in the middle of this practice attempt for the Max Lawsuits Challenge. I start my first try at Punch Clown, and wait for all 10 balloon boys to bunch up in the middle. If you scare all 10 of them at once, you get a jackpot of 10,000 points, which equates to $1,000 per
Where's
play.
your pin
So
switch?
I waited, and waited. Their movement
Your
is
pin
entirely
switch that has
so
the
there's no
needle
telling
and
when all
stick.
10 of them every single animatronic already in your pizzeria by night 2. You'll have to deal with an Afton family reunion, because Molten Freddy, Scrap Trap, Scrap Bit, on solving the first two. We can deal with the nighttime segments later, but first we've got to be able to actually get enough risk and money to get every single lawsuit. So, I got to work on a rule that gives us the best chance to get a good lower costs, abolish the personal income tax, expand school choice, and towards you with some extra cash. But because we're intentionally leaving things open to buy, we likely won't get many of these achievements, which means we're unfortunately missing out on a lot of which means we now have access to Stan's budget tech. I know Mr. Hugs and the paper pals weren't necessary to unlock the next catalog, as we would have been over $100 spent without them. I instead bought them because they'll benefit us in the long run. Mr. Hugs helps with adding extra liability early on, and even if the paper pals are marked down later down the road, they can't give us extra risk because they aren't placeable. They'll instead help us with giving the restaurant atmosphere, which in the long run will help give the business extra revenue at the end of each day to pay off lawsuits later. After buying these items, accept the Fifth Line Pop Soda sponsorship for $250 and purchase Midnight Motorist. Now, Midnight Motorist may be the most divisive minigame in all of FNaF history. Tons and tons of theories have sprouted up, trying to figure out what it means and how it ties into the lore. Well, I'm here to tell you that all these theories are completely incomplete, and the answer is he thinks it'd be fun to go drunk driving at 200 miles an hour on the freeway to blow off some steam. After all, William acted as a drunk driver, not a drunk crasher. Only drunk crashers get into accidents, and he is not a drunk crasher. For this minigame, sometimes the patterns of the cars can be difficult to get around without getting hit, but my drunk driving was so good that it even made J-Schlap proud. You'll want to play this minigame a total of 5 times. If you've done well enough at Midnight Motorist, you should have enough money to buy most of the items you need on Monday. Spend $200 to get the sturdy stage, net fare for $260, $310. This should be just over $1,000 spent, which means we now have access to smiles and servos. Also, Netbear gives us an extra 1 risk, which puts our total risk at 5,000 point jackpot equates to $500 for the minigame. make an attempt with all 3 lawsuits on one day, you would have to move do the tycoon cycle, do all the minigames, 9 single lawsuit. Anything more and I'll fall short of the goal. I've never even seen anyone hit double digits on lawsuits before, so even if I'm not going for the max, I'll still set the record. And so, with only 1 point of extra getting back on track, Tuesday's markdowns were very promising at first. Our first markdown was something for cups and plates, which didn't have any bonus risk added to it. The second was security doors, which also had no bonus risk as they aren't placeable. Things didn't seem very hopeful until I saw my third markdown.
Voted with the radical Democrats against President Trump's tax cuts. This was
This girl is on fire. When this happens, switch the terminal off and turn back on the fan to cool the room down. Once you get back down to 60 to 70 degrees, turn the fan off, then cool back on, and continue doing tasks. Rinse and repeat this cycle until you complete every single task, and then log off to overnight. Unfortunately, this strategy won't work every single time, as sometimes the game will just decide that you lose. Because we took multiple sponsorships for winning, sometimes an ad will play on the terminal, and we get locked in there waiting for it to finish before being able to do anything else while you're waiting for the ad to finish. Sometimes an animatronic will jump scare you, and there's nothing you can do.
I'm frustrated because Rick resigned and then went to
The best advice I have for when you get an ad is to close it as soon as possible. And then turn it off and place it on. scare any customers away from the restaurant because of this, so I'm going to give this incident a nicer sound of name. restaurant. I ended the typing segment with 36 total hits, and went on to the office segment. Nothing really changes on these nights compared to Tuesday, except for the fact that the animatronics can move faster than before. Still, the fact that I've never played an actual FNaF game up until this point was still showing, and I ended up getting really spooked by the first jump scare I got. Oh! Luckily, I was able to beat my office section before I got started It attracted multiple parasites from inside food and beverages prepared at Fazbear Entertainment business. Much later, he fell from a ride, stood up, and fell down again. Took his staff over 30 minutes to air. I have gotten to it so much to the point that I'm starting to get repeats, as this is the same exact lawsuit I got from Wednesday. The game only has 10 different lawsuits you can get, so at this point we're bound to get duplicates. I settled all of them, and closed out Thursday with a lawsuit. times in a row is only a 1 in 10,000 chance of happening. I also have the same loss of I wonder if I left anything important in there. Honestly, I don't really care about any of those animatronics or attractions. I mean, the only person I really cared about that building was